Now I'm writing a history of the Second World War that includes make a first step towards developing a genuinely Asian understanding of the Second World War. There's a real Eurocentrism to Western, and I mean English language writing, mostly from the US and the UK, where it's very victor-centric, victory-centered, claiming a moral superiority because of what their great-grandfathers did. That is being used politically by everybody. All national leaders will use the Second World War to make their countries feel good about themselves. But the Second World War in China by a previous generation of Western historians was seen as sort of completely insignificant. And I think to create that kind of Asian perspective, which is this move from a war that begins as a war for empire, metaphoricizing into an Asian war against all empire, Japan or European, in favor of an Asia made up of nation states. So I think that's how the war itself transforms, and that's why all those arguments that say that, American-European arguments, that China has done nothing to defeat the Japanese, well actually it's done a lot. Of course, it's trapped Japan, and it's made the choice very clear, but it misses the point of saying this is how transformative the Second World War was in Asia and how that created sort of the Asia we now know, the Asia of Asia, sovereign Asian nation states. The origins are there, and this is hugely important. I think by placing this in a global framework of resistance against colonialism, imperialism, of creating a new world order, but also of a shared humanity where we all have gone. The victor countries are the great exception, and the rest, Europe and Asia, actually share far more. And I think that needs to be recognized. The tragedy of the Second World War is a global tragedy in which, in fact, many areas experienced similar traumas. I think the kind of fate that my grandfather had would have been very similar to those of many people in China. That common experience of being occupied, that's very different from the experience or the perspective of countries that were not occupied, like the United Kingdom or the United States. When I was a child and my mother would give me food, if I would not completely eat everything on the plate, she would get so mad, so angry, because she had suffered real famine in the 44-45 hunger winter when 20,000 Dutch people died. The United States and the UK were the only countries that didn't suffer serious food problems in the Second World War. The rest of the world did. It's a huge difference. I think it ripples through the generations. So that's why I wanted to tell that story about my grandfather, that my interest in the Second World War is partly a personal interest. It has affected me profoundly.